Hey everybody, Matt Leja here with Maple Grove Productions. Thanks for joining me. Today while I'm collecting the buckets, I thought that I would take an inventory of all the trees and see if maybe I missed any and possibly give them names as well. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while because it helps for identification purposes to say, have you checked this one? Have you checked that one? You know, we're always saying the northeast, the one in the northwest. Which one's that? Is it this one or that? So it kind of takes the guesswork out of it, and also dedicates the tree to someone who has maybe helped out a lot. Obviously I'm going to name a few of these after my grandparents. I know that some of them may be named already, that they have been given names by my grandfather, but we'll try and preserve that as much as we can. But also I want to, make sure that the biggest, oldest tree represents the right person and strengths and characteristics that maybe we can recognize. So that's kind of the idea. So join me today for this extra special vlog as I pick up some sap with the old ox shoulder support. I don't know what it's called. I call it my ox, but yeah, makes me look like I'm pulling something really heavy, but it just takes some strain off of the hands and arms and stuff as you're carrying these buckets around because they get really heavy. So I'm not taking the sleigh today, just going out with the buckets, and yeah, let's get it done. Get her done. So tree number one, from my direction anyway, is coming from the, oh, here we go again, I'm gonna get all confused and discombobulated. This would be coming from the north path that goes away from the cabin and the house. So following this direction over here. So this would be the first one that you encounter, and this one is new to this year, brand new tree, never been tapped. Finally grew up, and actually my uncle, thanks to him, I was able to identify this one and add it to our collection. So this is a very new tree. We'll have to keep that in mind when we name it. Sorry for the wind here, but I gotta push on through. Speaking of wind, one of the buckets actually got blown off, it looks like here, so we get a loss on that one. These things happen. We had some really strong wind, especially yesterday, and hail. So today is the 4th of April. Crazy weather happening, but for the most part still freezing at night, still hot during the day, so things are well for the maple syrup. But here we have our second tree. This one is very big and very healthy, very strong, been here for a long time. Again, something we'll want to consider whenever we name it. It's got 3 buckets on it. I saw some people, just on a side note today, or yesterday rather, that had like 5 or 6, 7 buckets on a tree, so that's just too much. I felt bad adding 4 on one of mine, so, but it's a big tree, so we'll see that here in a moment. Anyway, this one here is doing very well. This is one that we were tapping for a long time, ever since I've been here anyway. So it's probably very old. Alright, on to the next one. So not a whole lot of sap today, obviously, because it's kind of cold and the wind makes it even colder. But there's some. We'll collect it, keep boiling it off. I have a batch going right now on the stove, and I'm going to add today's batch to that and finish it off. So a lot of it is just rolling with the day. Whatever nature gives you on that day, you kind of mix it in, roll it. I'm trying not to let any sap stack up, which is pretty challenging at times because there's a lot. Yesterday we made 25 cups of syrup, which is a huge batch. First time we were able to confirm that our syrup is definitely above 66 bricks. Well, that batch was anyway, but that's how we always make it. So odds are we'll be within that safe range of sugar concentration. But here we are at the second tree, which is a new tap. First time we tapped this one. It's been tapped before in the past, but we forgot about this one, so it hasn't been tapped for a few years, and it's doing well. So yeah, it's a good tree, healthy tree, medium age, definitely mature at this point, but still growing. Before long it'll be able to support 2 buckets. And the next one is actually right over here. This one has been tapped for many years. This is one that I remember because of how it branches out here, how it developed, this kind of unique It's not a huge producer, but there are days, funny enough, where it just pours out. So I'm not sure if having all of those trunks on the inside has really helped it or hurt it, but maybe within a couple of years this one will be a big producer, since we'll be able to start tapping it twice, maybe even next year. It's getting big enough. So, and the next one's all the way over there, so let's venture our way forth. So if I count those up, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're coming up on number 5 right now. Now this one here, which is a very big plump tree. Again, I'm not sure that this is a sugar maple, but it is a maple. Maybe a silver maple? I have no idea. I'm not very good at identifying them yet, but this is a new one also that we missed in the last couple of years. That, again, my uncle, thank goodness for family, right? Whoa, gotta watch out, there's water down here. I'm just sinking. But thank goodness for family to help out with things like this. I would have never known. Gotta live, gotta learn. So, yeah, this one here has been a decent producer since we tapped it. And it gets a decent amount of sun. So yeah, today it's not really leaking all that much. But it's starting, it's decent. It's not as sweet, this one. Not as sweet as some of the other ones, but when you mix it all together and evaporate all that water off, it's all the same, and it all helps to add to the sweetness. Beautiful day today. It's windy. So, this one here, kind of a sleeper, you could say, maybe. Maybe not a sleeper, but what am I trying to say here? It is a sneaker, one that we missed that's being added. So, again, going with the whole characteristics thing, I'll have to really put some thought into naming this one. That is number 5. Move on to number 6, which is over there across the pond. So this one here, number 6, it's an old tree. It's in pretty good shape. It doesn't produce a whole lot. Well, no, I'll take that back. It does produce, but it has its years, it has its moments, it has its time. So, as my grandfather said, some years it's not ready, it's not its time. This year it's not doing too bad. It's doing pretty well, so we'll take what we can get. It does get a decent amount of sun, but there's a lot of coverage here, so it's hard for it to really pull it in, but late afternoon it tends to do better than in the morning. And that's true for a lot of them, but the reverse is also true for some of them. So that's number 6. Let's move on to number 7, which is also another old growth maple. That big one all the way back there, if you can see it. Right there's the bucket. Let's move on. Thank goodness for my big boots, I'll tell you. I don't know what I'd be doing in here without them. So here's number 7. Very big trunk, pretty old, and it reaches up way up high in the sky, I think even higher than that last one. So this is a very good tree, produces a lot, and I think I may have actually put 4 buckets on this one. I did. This is one of the ones that's so big I can actually afford to put 4 buckets on this one, but I'm not gonna go crazy. Like, I saw people putting them like spiral all the way around the tree. Like, that's just too much. Big tree like this needs its sap to thrive and even survive, so I don't want to push it, but these guys are my friends. 4 is the most I'll ever put on any tree, no matter how big it gets. But that's just me. Be kind to your trees and they'll be kind back to you. That's the way I see it. And I could say that for a lot of things in life. But there you can see also, I don't know if I mentioned or not, the string. I put that to identify the maples, to try and help me keep track of them, and maybe find some new ones eventually that I can tie off, and once they get big enough I'll just know they're right there. But I'm still learning to identify them. I think I mentioned it in one of my other videos, but one thing my uncle said is he just knows. I was like, how do you know like what a maple looks like? What are you looking for? Do you look at the bark? Do you look at the trees? Do you look at the branches? Do you look at the shape of it? Like, what are you looking for? He said, it's a maple. There's no other way. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to describe it. It's just a maple. You know it's a maple. So it's something you have to come to learn and observe and just know. Obviously, it's a lot easier to tell during the seasons where it actually has leaves, right? So you can see what color they are and then identify. And apparently the red one, the red-leafed ones, are the sugar maples. So all the maples that have red leaves are my sugar maples. And the other ones will take that sap too, because it's still good. And it mixes really well. It adds flavor and characteristics to our syrup. So anyway, all that to say, this is tree number 7, and we're moving on to tree number 8, which is just around the corner. So here we have tree number 8. I apologize again for the wind. This is a bad spot actually for wind. Every time I film here, I get inundated in wind. The sun's still out. Anyway, this is another tree. This one is fairly big as well, big enough that we were able to put 3 buckets. Might be a bit of a stretch on that one, but it can handle it. And because it has this tilt to it, you gotta be careful of where you tap it and where you put the buckets. So we opted for a slightly more easternly position, but normally I would put that on the southwest. But just because they're tilting that way, it makes it easier and better in terms of not, having any spillage, or accidents. But this tree has been long tapped. It's doing well. I remember it from long ago. It seems to hold on to its leaves for a long time, all season. It's not looking that great in certain places. The branches look a little dry, but all in all, it's doing pretty well. It's still very much alive, so we will thank it for its service and try to help it out as much as possible. But yeah, actually, speaking of that, I gotta take that thing down. What the? So that is tree number 8, and tree number 9 is right over there. And I'm gonna have to go dump off my buckets because I'm full almost. So we'll do these last 2 here, and then I'll come back and finish the rest if I can. Here is number 9. Number 9. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. But here's number 9. It's doing well. It's a medium-ish size tree on the small side. Been tapped for a few years now. You can see all the tap marks on it. So it's been doing well. It's healthy. It's right beside this one over here. These you could call the 2 brothers, I guess. There's 3 sisters over there, so why not? These are the 2 brothers. But the 2 bros have, there's 1 bucket here, and there's that one's slightly larger, so we put 2 on that one. This one has been tapped for a number of years now, but this one offers a prime example of what happens if you don't tap, if you don't drill the hole properly, or if even the slightest thing is not aligned properly, if you're not doing it correctly, I guess. If you do good, then this happens, and you can see all that runoff. I've tried to fix it a number of times. I've tried tubes on it, I've tried drilling deeper and hammering it in more. Nothing works, so I'm just going to leave it for this year. This is not something I'd want to happen to any tree, so next year we're going to have to pay more attention to drilling our holes properly and not doing them crooked or making them too big. So that's pretty much what's happening here. Is it's hole's too big, or it's crooked or something, and it threw the whole thing off. Now it's peeing on itself, so we're going to have to fix that. But it is a good tree, and it's usually a decent producer as well. As you can see, it's still dripping now as we speak. So on to tree number 10. Here we are, tree number 10, the second of the bros. This would be the first, I guess. Very, very healthy tree. Sugar maple. This one is a fantastic producer because it gets a lot of sunlight. There's nothing really that blocks it all that much. These trees over here are pretty thin, and they don't usually bush out all that much, so it gets a decent amount of sun overhead as well. There's really not that much competition here for it, so that's probably why it does well. So I like this tree, and let's check it out just for kicks. Pretty decent. Not the greatest day, so if you get 2 inches of sap like that, 3 inches, I'll take that. See what I mean? Even on a bad day, this thing's putting out, so fantastic tree. One of my favorites. So that's number 10. Let's move on to number 11, which is right behind it. Almost forgot about this tree because it is a new one. It's pretty small, but it's able to support one bucket here, and it's doing very well. Again, it probably gets a lot of sunlight. Has good visibility in the afternoon, so it's doing well, but it's just off the path here. I almost forgot it. So this is another new one. This would be technically number 11, so this is 11, and 12 is just on the other side over there. Right there. Right there. Let's go. Oh boy, here comes more wind. Here we have number 12. Good tree. Been tapped many years now. Hope you can still hear me with all this wind. But yeah, this is a really good tree. We got 2 on it. It's another one that's kind of on an angle, so we gotta be careful where we tap it. So that's why these posts are here. This one I opted to go one on the front, one on the back, just 2. But before long, this one can support 3. It's getting pretty big. Alright, that's number 12. Number 13, I'll talk about actually, so I don't have to trek through that stuff. But Ange actually just emptied out the sap on that one, so I don't have to do that one. So I can take the time needed to talk about these ones. So this tree here, hopefully you can see it. It has been tapped 3 times. I'll get a shot of that on the way back. It's been tapped 3 times with tubes. One of the tubes is leaking, unfortunately, just like that last one I showed you. But the other 2 tubes are doing fine, so, and it produces very well. Again, great sun, decent tree. Lower branches look a little unhealthy, but it's still doing well. It's branching off there. And it's a great producer. That bucket one time was overflowing. So if you've seen my vlog on our buckets are overflowing, this is one of the ones that was overflowing. Tapped 3 times, you can expect as much, but we also waited 2 or 3 days. But that is a fantastic tree. But yeah, don't wait 2 or 3 days to pick up the sap. We're picking it up daily now, even if it's just a little bit. So here, I'll touch on that as well, is these are the 3 sisters, which we'll go by and get a shot of that. So that would be, let's see here, we're up to 13. The nice big producer over there, which has 3 taps, that would be number 13. And the 3 sisters over here, which we'll see in a moment, would make 14. Actually, we'll go 14, 15, 16. So 14 through 16 coming up. I almost forgot I wanted to capture the side of this one here with the triple tap as I was passing by. So there it is. You can see how it's tapped 3 times there. Hopefully you can see that. It's tapped 3 times. All the tubes are connected together. They wrap around the tree into the bucket. If all my trees were like this, it might actually make picking up the sap a lot easier. So I was at one point tempted to do the tubes like this, not like all the way back to my cabin like some people do, but it's not a big enough an operation to justify that. But it would be cool to have a snowmobile, or hook up the dog to a sleigh or something and help pull things along, or just tug one along myself and just keep replacing the buckets. Anyway, lots of ideas. Some of the tubes I noticed are smaller on the trees as well, so I might opt for that to go a little easier on the tree, and they seem to be more efficient and more structured, obviously. So yeah, they're pretty cheap to upgrade. Okay, so here we are at the 3 sisters. They progressively get older. They go from youngest here, which this one has, I've seen it grow quite a bit in the last few years. It's had a bucket on it for a couple of years now, and it does very well. They all do very well. I couldn't even say one does better than the other because this one's smaller, so for its size it does very well indeed. And these other 2 always do well. They have 2 buckets on them each, and this one's got 1. But yeah, just in this little section here, there's 5 buckets, and with the other 2 over there, it's pretty easy to gather. Well, easy. If you call trekking through 2 or 3 feet of snow easy, I guess, but could be worse. Anyway, these are the 3 sisters, bringing us up to 16, I think I said now. And we're going to move on to 17 and 18, which are right over there. Okay, so here we have 17 and 18. This one is quite large. very healthy. These guys get a lot of sun. Their production is on and off, but they're late season trees, I find. Early in the season we don't get that much out of them, but towards the end, towards April, end of March, they start really producing well. This one is the bigger of the two, so it has 3 buckets, and this is the smaller, so it only has 2. But this one, probably next year, or the year after, it could probably handle 2, or 3 I should say. So there we go, 17 and 18. Moving on to 19, which is our oldest and biggest tree. So here we are at number 19, the oldest tree, the biggest tree. This one has 4 buckets, and it is a very, very large sugar maple. It's been here long before I was here. It'll be here long before after I'm gone. This is a great tree. Funny enough though, for a tree of its size, it doesn't produce all that much. It's already been picked up here, but actually it does get a lot of late day sun, so that's what we're seeing now. Is it's better to pick this one up in the afternoon. You can see how large it is across. Huge tree. So I think this one, it goes without saying that this would be my grandfather's tree. This is the first one I'm officially naming after Grandpapa Vallée. Patricien Vallée, this one is for you. It'll always be yours. That's number 19. Moving on to, heading back home now, moving on to 20, 21, 22, and 23. Alright, so let's go 20, 21, 22, and 23. 20 has been here for a long time, pretty large tree as you can see here. 3 buckets on it, it's doing well. These all do fantastic. They get enough sun, that one maybe a little bit less, but they get some decent sun here, and they're always pretty good producers throughout the whole season. You can count on these, and they're right by the cabin, which is nice. Don't have too far to go. So that brings us up to 23, and 24 is actually right behind the cabin, so let's go check that one out. Here's number 24 right behind the cabin, like I was saying. Small tree, doing very well, though this one, surprisingly again, always does well. Early season tree, this one. So it must get a lot of that sun, the eastern sun. But yeah, like literally right behind the cabin. And the nice part is, on a little side note here, these are all maples. Sugar maples too, if I'm not mistaken. So my grandfather was kind and wise enough to consider planting all these for whoever would live here. At the time he didn't know if it would be me or whoever. But he had the consideration to plant all these maples right behind the cabin so that in 10, 20 years from now, 30 years, 50 years from now, it'll be so easy to just tap those and bring them in, boil them in the cabin. Dare I say it, even a tube system here going right into the cabin, that would be pretty amazing. Here's number 24. One more time. Now we're going to make our way towards the front of the yard for our last few trees. Here we have number 25 on the side of the house, bordering the property line, medium-sized tree, doing well, healthy. It's kind of off the beaten path, but it does okay. Not great, not bad, just good. Can't complain. A lot of shade here, so really can't complain about this one. That's 25, and the rest are all in the front. Had to duck down behind a tree to capture this one, it's so windy. So that's number 26. 26 is a new tree that was tapped in the last few years, last 2 or 3 years, something like that. It was, actually no, this is not the one I was thinking of. Scratch that. This one has been tapped for many years, and it's slowly becoming a medium-sized tree. This one here in the middle is the one I tapped, and nothing came out of it, so I thought for sure that was a maple. It's either too early to tap, that one, or it was not a maple or sugar maple, so it didn't produce anything. Try again, but you can see, or I can see now, that these are not even remotely close, so I don't know what I tapped. If any of you guys out there know what these trees are, let me know. But I took a chance and it was not the right type of tree, so live and learn. That's 26, and 27 and 28 are new trees as well. They're in the front of the house. It's actually a +1 on the count, I think, for me. I thought we had 27, so it looks like we have 28. I'll have to recount that to make sure, but here we have 27 and 28. Not the biggest trees in the world, but they can certainly handle a bucket each. And these are producing very well. They're mixing nicely with the cedar hedges as well, but these are great producers for their first years. Getting lots out of these buckets. So there you have it, my friends. 28 trees, lots of good times, so much sap, so much syrup. I think we're up to 57 buckets. So times that by 5. I'm not good at math, but that's got to be almost 300, if not over. So 300 gallons of sap so far, roughly. That's a lot of sap. But it's good exercise. Get to get out in the woods and trek through all that snow, and it's fun. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's rewarding, and we get an excellent product out of it in the end. So I'm gonna finish up the boil. I've still got another 4 buckets left, three or 4 buckets left to go through. Using the slow drip again. It's going well. I'm gonna try and boil through all this stuff, but hope you enjoyed the identification process of all the maples that we have here. We're almost at 30 now, which is getting to be a fairly large operation. There's going to be, within a few years, there's already at least 50 maples out there, most of which are not mature. The smaller ones, I should say, are not mature, but within a decade or two they will be. So yeah, I gotta get ready for it. I'm also going to, as I said, take the time to sit down, examine this video carefully, maybe make out a little map of some kind for the woods, get something really nice on there. Maybe I'll break out the coloring pencils. I haven't done that in a while. But yeah, now I'm gonna name them, obviously, identifying them by name, as I said before, to commemorate those trees to all the people that have helped us over the years and supported us, and also to better identify them and to be able to have conversations with ease of where we need to go and what we need to do and which trees we need to maintain simply by identifying by name. So I can say, you know, that tree may need to be maintained, or the area around it cleared off, all the brush. I don't know, maybe even a little compost tea once in a while. Why not? Why not? Be nice to your trees. We've got some left over. Odds are we probably won't, but you know, trees will get a nice reward one way or another by simply getting more tree light, getting cleaned up, and allowing them to grow and really, you know, excel in what they do and what they provide for us. So that's it for today, my friends. Thanks again for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Share it with your friends and family. If you're in the area and you want to come for a tour and check out our operation here, by all means, contact us. You can reach us at mgpdream@gmail.com. That's Maple Grove Production Dream, mgpdream@gmail. And we can arrange something. So if you're in Eastern Ontario, Cornwall area, St. Andrews, probably not. Pretty small around here. But, you know, if you happen to be around and you want to get together and check this out, share some tips, have some conversations, walk the woods, let me know. And yeah, with that, I will bid you a good day and take care, my friends. Be well. Bye-bye.